I'm Jessica.
I'm Emmalynn.
And in today's video, we thought it would be fun to recap our 5-star reads of the year.
So far, hopefully.
So far. Which it just so happens that we have the same amount, 6 each. Only one of which is
How many
the
books
same.
have you read?
This year, so far, 27.
I'm at 25. So, that's interesting. Almost the same amount. The same percentage.
Yep.
I don't know how to math, so I'm not going to figure that out.
We're going to go in order of, like, when we read these. So starting all the way back to, let's see, that's the wrong one. All the way back to January. I'm going to say As Good as Dead by Holly Jackson. This is the 3rd book in the A Good Girl's Guide to Murder trilogy. And I loved the other 2. They weren't 5-star. I think I gave them 4 or 4.5 maybe. But this one was definitely a 5-star. This is the wildest ride you could possibly go on to end this series. And I have to say I was a little scared for my life. I didn't know if it was going to all come together in the end, but it did. And yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy.
Okay, my first book was Killer Instinct by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. And just brief synopsis of the first book. This follows a group of teenagers with, like, not special abilities, but higher IQ, I guess. And
yeah.
it's like,
they're like gifted.
What does everyone say? It's Criminal Minds vibes, which I've never seen that show, but apparently it's very similar to Spencer Reed. I just know who that is. Never seen it, but it was a good time.
Okay, next I have, well, not really a duology, kind of. They go together.
It's a duology.
You need to read them both. And the first one is When in Rome by Sarah Adams. This follows our main character, Amelia Rose, who is a famous pop star. And she basically, like, models her whole life off of Audrey Hepburn movies. And so she decides that she's going to let Roman Holiday be the inspiration for her to kind of abandon all of her responsibilities as a pop star because she just needs a break. So she decides to go on a road trip to Rome. It doesn't
Kentucky.
say. Okay, Kentucky. Is that even such a place? I don't know.
I don't think it's real.
But she ends up breaking down in the driveway of this grumpy guy named Noah who owns a pie shop. But he's very masculine. But his pie shop is like a family tradition that he's continued. And so he has to kind of like rescue her, but he's like not happy about it. And she wants to stay there, but like she's being nagged to death by her agent to come back and like do all of her publicity type things, but she just really wants to stay there. And then there's also some background characters or side characters, which are Noah's 3 sisters. But the reason I loved this one was you really get a glimpse into like this small, cute little town where everyone's known everyone their whole lives and they look out for one another. And it really, truly reminded me of the Hannah Montana movie, which is a household favorite. So
it's not a household.
It's a household favorite because of you, and you live in the household.
Okay.
So if you're looking for a small town romance, no spice scenes, just like a feel good moment, pick up When in Rome. And then I actually think I liked Practice Makes Perfect better, which some people don't like at all, and I have no idea why. I don't know how you couldn't like it. But this one follows one of Noah's sisters named Annie. She's the youngest of the 3, and she owns a flower shop, and she doesn't really have much luck with dating, and she's just a little socially awkward and shy. and she ends up tasking Amelia from the first book, her bodyguard, to teach her how to date. And so he's gonna like show her the ropes of dating because he's kind of like known as being a playboy and he's never in serious relationships and whatnot. But as you can imagine, a romance ensues. It's not really a spoiler because he's on the cover. But yeah, I liked that one better. I really resonated with Annie's character. Yeah. She's just very likable, very believable. Like, if you aren't her, you know someone who's like her. And I don't know, I just found her to be really endearing all around. So I particularly maybe would say that one was even a 6-star for me because I did like it better than When in Rome, but I obviously loved When in Rome too.
Okay, my next one was Little Women by Louise May Alcott. It took me like a month or two to read this book, which I think is the way to do it because there's so much going on and there's so much wisdom you can take from this book that I feel like rushing through it, you just want to add another book to your like read list. So highly recommend taking it slow. Read it when you're in the mood. Don't force it. But this follows the 4 March sisters just throughout their life. I definitely say like go into it knowing the pacing is going to be weird. If you've just watched the movie, you also understand that the pacing's weird because like sometimes, you know, they're kids and they're teenagers and they're adults and it just moves around a lot, but it makes sense when you read the story.
Okay, next I have another duology, which is, I guess the duology or the series, she might have more, is the Holidays with Heart series by Courtney Walsh. The first one is My Pony Valentine and the second one is My Lucky Charm. So My Pony Valentine follows our main girl named Poppy who owns a restaurant, and she is standing in line in her local coffee shop one day, and this girl that's like bullied her whole life, who like everyone hates in this town, like comes up to her and kind of just starts like literally bullying her right there in line. And she's like, oh, that's right, you don't have a boyfriend. And she's like, actually I do, and he's right there. And she just like starts acting like she's dating the guy in front of her, and unbeknownst to her, he's a famous hockey player. And so she kind of has to like, and he agrees to keep up this ruse of them dating because the town is so small that like it starts becoming like well known that, oh my gosh, Poppy's dating this famous hockey player, Dallas. And so it's like he starts hanging out with her family, yada yada, you get the gist. Mm-hmm. And then the second book follows one of Poppy's sisters. I think it's the youngest one also. What's her name? Oh my gosh, I don't remember because it doesn't say. Eloise. Wow, it's not in the synopsis at all. Okay, the youngest sister, Poppy's youngest sister, Eloise, and she is kind of just like wears her heart on her sleeve, doesn't make the most like rational decisions because she just goes with whatever she's feeling in the moment. And so she had like invested a lot of money into starting some kind of business with her boyfriend, and then he like dumped her and took everything. And so she's like kind of starting all over. And so Poppy helps her get a job at Dallas's hockey team, being like a personal assistant for one of the hockey players that just joined the team. And his name is Grayson, and he is like the absolute most grumpy male character you will ever encounter. But it didn't really annoy me, at least, because they kind of talk about why he is the way he is. But Eloise is just like very bubbly and joyful, and she enjoys like everything in life, all the little details, and so she's definitely his ray of sunshine and he's the grumpy. So yeah, I don't even know which one I would say I liked better because I probably like them both equally. But yeah, anything by Courtney Walsh, you can't go wrong.
Okay, my next one is One True Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid. And this is kind of a book that I've had on my radar for a while that I just kept putting off because I didn't know how I was going to feel about it. And my friend bought it for me for Christmas and like annotated it for me and everything. And so I was like, okay, I have to read it now. And I absolutely loved it. It was very sad, very happy. It was my kind of book. And I immediately went and bought almost all of her backlist, so without even reading what they're about, because I don't care. I love her writing. This follows Emma, who marries her high school sweetheart Jesse, and you follow them and that like rather quickly. Then we're up into the point where Jesse decides to like go on some trip and he dies in a helicopter crash. Not a spoiler, it's all a synopsis. And then Emma like moves back to her hometown. She's absolutely heartbroken. Rekindles her friendship with one of her old high school friends. Then they get together. They're engaged. And then that's kind of where the book really picks up. Is she gets a phone call from Jesse being like, "Hey, I'm alive," like years later. And then she feels conflicted because Jesse thinks they're still like married. She took her last name back, is engaged to someone else. It's wild. It's so good.
That's like, wow, what a dilemma. I can't even imagine. I mean, I'm sure
I'm satisfied.
It's giving Castaway, obviously.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's crazy to think that, like, that might have happened in real life to somebody out in the world.
That's true. Okay, my next one is Powerless by Lauren Roberts. This is a book that I thought would like really disappoint me, to be honest, because it was so popular so fast, and because the author was like famous on TikTok. She documented her whole like writing process for the last few years. But I absolutely love this book. It gave major Hunger Games vibes. It was exactly what I needed. It was my first fantasy 5-star of the year. I don't even want to say anything about it, but there's like a secret identity trope, which I love, which also causes issues, and then I'm mad at the issues that it causes, even though I liked that she had a secret identity. It's fine. But I highly recommend this book. The like novella spin-off book comes out in like 2 weeks, and then the second book in this series comes out in July. So you don't have to wait that long.
July of this year?
Yeah.
Oh. Wow, I didn't know
This came out.
It did come out last year, didn't it?
No, it came out. Oh, yeah, it did.
23? Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe it's just now physically in stores, like recently.
Oh, I don't know.
Because I think it was just like Kindle. I don't know. Because I feel like it literally just came out. It must have just come in stores recently. Because she was an indie author. And then she got like picked up by a publisher.
Oh, maybe that's what it is.
I don't know. It doesn't matter. But if you read it now, you don't have to wait that long for the next few books. So you should go do that. Okay. My last one before our last one is The Happy Life of Isadora Bentley by Courtney Walsh. I think we should be sponsored.
I know. How do we get sponsored? Courtney Walsh, if you're out there, I will read anything and everything you write from now on until the day I die. But she might die before me because she's older than me. But either way, I'll read everything you write.
Anyways, this follows Isadora Bentley, and on her 30th birthday, she's, shopping in the grocery store. She sees a magazine. It's like 30 ways to be happy, and she's a researcher, and she decides that she's going to buy this magazine as an experiment to prove it wrong. But, like, really in her heart, she wants it to be right because she's unhappy. And so we follow her, like, try all these new things as a very type A person that doesn't like to try new things.
And she's also very introverted.
Yeah. And just the found family in this book is so good. The little romance in this book is so good. Highly recommend that one.
Yeah, I love that book, too.
Okay,
lastly is the most recent one. I read it first, and then I I didn't make her read it, but I strongly suggested it. And that is Heartless Hunter, book number 1 in the Crimson Moth series. I don't know how many it's
I think it's just a duology.
Oh, no. I don't want it to be just a duology.
There's too much that has to be fixed.
And it's by Kristen Ciccarelli. I don't know how to say her last name.
No idea.
That would be my guess. But, so Book of the Month had this as a Book of the Month pick for, like, February, I think. Wasn't it? Yeah, I feel like that's right. And I was like, what is this? I've never heard of this, but it was, like, the one that appealed to me the most, so I got it. And I read it not long after getting it, and I was obsessed. Like, literally, I still am obsessed. Like, I think about that book and what's going to come. I can't even think of the main girl's name. I know the guy's name is Gideon.
Rune.
That's right. What's a rune? So, Rune is a witch, and in the kingdom that she lives in, witches are hunted now. They used to be, like, esteemed in society, and then something happened, and now they're hunted. So they have actual witch hunters who go around finding the people that are witches, and then they, like, publicly kill them and, like, drain their bodies of blood. And so Rune is kind of like a vigilante for witches because she is working to get anyone who is a witch, like, sent off into a different kingdom so that they can have, like, the prospect of living, because in other kingdoms, for some reason, witches aren't hunted the way they are in hers. And so this is like set in a regency time. And Rune is kind of like this sought after woman, like, she's a eligible young lady, and she has, like, men vying for her attention, and she kind of just, like, uses men to get information on, like, what's happening in her kingdom and whatever. But Rune is known as the Crimson Moth, but no one knows her identity. And so she decides that it would be most beneficial to her to pretend to be in a relationship with Gideon Sharp, right? Mm-hmm. That's his name. And he is, like, the number 1 witch hunter in the kingdom. And so he, like, suspects that she's the Crimson Moth, but he isn't sure, so
But he's in denial.
Yes. So he's pretending to date her for information, and she's pretending to date him for information, and neither one of them are aware. So it is
stressful.
It is stressful. It's just so good. Like, the tension, the banter. Suspense, yes, the banter. Rune is a strong, independent woman.
But be prepared, because the next book doesn't come out till February, so.
And it ends on a major cliffhanger. It's like this is the cliff, and you're just I'm reading, what? And
you're like, oh, it's over.
You're just off the ledge. You just fell off the ledge, and there's no coming back from falling off the ledge, because it's just like you're reading, thinking, okay, like, I'm just, getting a little bit of information here, and then it just ends. It just abruptly ends. So, if you think it's going to be, like, all wrapped up in a little bow, it's not.
You're wrong.
And that's because there's another book. So, anyways.
That is all.
That is all we have.
Cheers to more, hopefully.
As always, we both strongly suggest at all times reading anything and everything written by 1, Sarah Adams, and 2, Courtney Walsh, if you can't tell. And if you have read any other books that give, like, a Regency fantasy vibe, let me know, because now I'm on the hunt for one, because I'm like, this is a trope I didn't know I needed.
You said a Regency.
I know. I'm pleading.
One's helping her.
I know. Someone help me. What's our Regency fantasy? Regency fantasy. Help me out. I need one to add to my TBR, because I have, like, no books to read,
Cue our last video.
Don't look at the book haul. Anyways, that's all we have. Hopefully we'll be finding some more 5 reads soon. And we will see you in our next video.